God's will for me is perfect happiness. God's will for you is perfect happiness. What's good, fam? We made it to lesson 101. We are in the 3-digit zone now. There is a lot for us to study today, and it is going to be very powerful. And me and you are going to get even more clear on any blocks in our belief system we may hold still that are not allowing us from experiencing our pure happiness all the time, 24/7. Me and you are still as God created us, and I'm sure by now we have reawoken to that fact, and we know whenever we are being who we really are, and whenever we are being who we think we are, that little self-image that we made, that we call the ego, that self-image that thinks that it is not enough and it's separate from everyone and everything, that little self-image is just not so. We are going to understand that more today. But just keep in mind that me and you still hold some junk, some beliefs that we learned ever since we were new to this world. We learned some beliefs from our parents, from the people who raised us, from our environment. Very well-meaning people, but remember, somebody can't teach you what they don't already know. So somebody who is love and light, who forgot that they are love and light, cannot teach you what they are, because they're teaching what they think they are, which is part of the illusion. And that is what me and you were raised by, most likely, and what we still have scraps of evidence of that in our belief system. We have little scraps that we still believe we are this body. We still believe that there is lack and there is not enough and we are not enough, and we think that we need all kinds of stuff out there in this physical world in order to fulfill and complete us, and that is just not so. So let's go ahead and dive straight into this powerful lesson. Let's study this material together as we've been doing so for the last few months, and be blown away like always. If you got the book, you already know where to go. If you don't got the book yet, the PDF is in the description, and let's go ahead and begin. Lesson 101. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Today, we will continue with the theme of happiness. This is a key idea in understanding what salvation means. You still believe it asks for suffering as penance for your sins. This is not so. Yet, you must think it is so while you believe that sin is real and that God's Son can sin. If sin is real, then punishment is just and cannot be escaped. Salvation thus cannot be purchased but through suffering. If sin is real, then happiness must be an illusion, for they cannot both be true. The sinful warranty only death and pain, and it is this they ask for they know it waits for them, and it will seek them out and find them somewhere, sometime, in some form that evens the account they owe to God. They would escape him in their fear, and yet he will pursue, and they cannot escape. So before we continue, regardless of what you have grown up to in your background, whether if it was a certain religion or spirituality or whatever it may be, this is right here what a lot of people in this world believe. And because this is how majority of the world has thought, even if we've never heard this terminology before, it has been emanated forth from their being, and we have absorbed that emanation unknowingly, and we believe this to a certain extent as well. And this is just not so. You are love and light, and nothing that we do here in this world and these bodies that we think we are, this ego that we made apart from God, this little self that we think is separate, that we think we are, cannot change what is changeless. What me and you made, which is illusions, cannot change what is unalterable. What me and you have done, that we think we made errors or mistakes, or we have done something wrong in this world, and of course maybe we all have to some degree, but just know that that in truth does not change what God created, because me and you are not powerful enough to change what is changeless and eternal and timeless. So just know that the only thing me and you need to be saved from is our own sense of imprisonment that we put on ourselves, our own illusions that we made and we've given all our power to, that we think that they're the cause of our unhappiness, whenever our unhappiness is what's causing us to perceive that way. But because me and you know that we don't need to be happy because happiness is who we are, then we will remain in that state forevermore. And we will see that all of those errors we made in the past were only done because we were in a state of mind at the time we made the mistake that we forgot who we were. Of course, you're going to make errors and mistakes whenever you don't know who you are. But when you're in this beautiful, loving state of mind, then there is nothing that you could do that will upset you or anyone else because you are acting from purity and from love and from peace. Now remember, other people could project their own junk on you and think you're doing something to hurt or harm them or make them unpleased or unhappy, but that is just not so, because remember, what people think of you says more about them, not only more, but says everything about them than it does about you. You are one aspect with all creation, so are they, and if either one of you is judging one another, you are at the core of your being judging yourself. So let's keep that in mind and understand that regardless of what we've grown up to, this is what we believe on some level or some degree just because of the belief systems that we've absorbed while we were younger, and we are here undoing that belief system today. If sin is real, salvation must be pain. Pain is the cost of sin, and suffering can never be escaped if sin is real. Salvation must be feared, for it will kill but slowly, taking everything away before it grants the welcome boon of death to victims who are little more than bones before salvation is appeased. Its wrath is boundless, merciless, but wholly just. This is a complete 180 turn from what and who God really is. This is just a nightmare that most people have believed in their whole life, and they are giving all their power to this illusion that has no power over them. Who would see out such savage punishment? Who would not flee salvation and attempt it in every way he can to drown the voice which offers it to him? Why would he try to listen and escape its offering? If sin is real, its offering is death and meted out with cruel form to match the vicious wishes in which sin is born. If sin is real, salvation has become your bitter enemy, the curse of God upon you who have crucified his Son. Again, although the Course loves to use exaggerated terminology, this is done intentionally to show us that at the very core of what we believe, this is what is happening. Now, again, to whatever degree some people have this belief more than others, and just know that again, we are here to undo all of the false perceptions that are not really there so we can see the real world. You need practice periods today. The exercises teach sin is not real, and all that you believe must come from sin will never happen, for it has no cause. Accept atonement accept atonement with an open mind, which cherishes no lingering belief that you have made a devil of God's Son. There is no sin. We practice with this thought as often as we can today because it is the basis for today's idea. God's will for you is perfect happiness because there is no sin. And suffering is causeless, joy is just, and pain is but the sign you have misunderstood yourself. One more time. Pain is but the sign you have misunderstood yourself. So me and you here together 101 days straight who have a really good grasp on what we have been learning so far understand that this is so. Now, again, me and you are learning from everyone out there in the world, and we could see their belief systems based on what they say, based on how they say what they say, and even if they're not talking, based on their actions and their facial expressions, based on the vibration that they are emanating. Now, remember, most people believe that pain is the sign. No, pain is the sign you have misunderstood yourself. So if you see anyone who is experiencing pain, and that includes me and you when we're asleep because we still haven't unlearned all the junk that we were raised to. So whenever me and you are experiencing any pain, just understand that in that moment, me and you have misunderstood who we really are. We are what God created always and forever, but because we're associating ourselves with pain and identifying with the ego, we are misunderstanding who we are because we think we're capable of being hurt. But who we really are is invulnerable, is love and light and eternal, changeless, unalterable, and we can't see this whenever we are experiencing any form of pain that me and you have made for ourselves, and not only made for ourselves but given all the power to. So now we think we're at effect of the cause of pain, when really it's backwards. Me and you are the cause of what we see out there. Me and you are the perception. We are perceiving what is out there. Meaning, again, the course states somewhere in the lessons that it's not so much about what you see, but how you see it. It doesn't matter if that person is doing something, whatever they're doing is neutral. It doesn't mean nothing. In this world it may be, but in a larger scheme of things, what you think about that person is more important than what that person's actually doing. Now, whenever you see somebody doing something that is not out of love and light, just understand that at that moment they are misunderstanding themselves, and they have their priorities all screwed up because they are doing what they believe is in their own best interest out of identifying with the ego, and that is not who they really are. They are hallucinating. And I'm saying they again, but me and you are looking and observing others without judgment, because we do the same thing. Me and you are in this world. We have these bodies, which means that me and you still believe that separation exists to some extent. And me and you are here today undoing that belief, because only love comes from knowing who you really are, and only fear can come from misunderstanding who you really are. Fear not the will of God, but turn to it in confidence that it will set you free from all the consequences sin has wrought in feverish imagination. Say, God's will for me is perfect happiness. There is no sin. It has no consequence. One more time. God's will for me and you, God's will for us, is perfect happiness. There is no sin. It has no consequences. So should you start your practice periods, and then attempt again to find the joy these thoughts will introduce into your mind. Give these 5 minutes gladly to remove the heavy load you lay upon yourself with the insane belief that sin is real. Today, escape from madness. You are set on freedom's road, and now today's idea brings wings to speed you on, and hope to go still faster to the waiting goal of peace. There is no sin. Remember this today, and tell yourself as often as you can, God's will for me is perfect happiness. This is the truth, because there is no sin. One more time. God's will for us, me and you, is perfect happiness. This is the truth, because there is no sin. Beautiful lesson, like all of them. Powerful lesson. This is where we're going to conclude today's practice period. Let's make sure that we really invest those 5 minutes at the beginning of each hour into ourselves, and give love for those 5 minutes, and extend that love even whenever we exit the 5 minute practice period, and allow it to be what consumes us throughout the day. That is our will, that is God's will, and our will and God's will are one. Whenever we are in our right mind, our will with God is one. It's only whenever we are identified with this tiny little self-image we made apart from God that we believe God's will is other than what me and you think we want, while misunderstanding who we really are. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we will meet here again for the next lesson, and until then, I will see you there.